So Feivel tells me, he says, I start reading a letter that a lady wrote to the Lubavitcher Rebbe in the early 1960s. She writes to him. She comes from a family of Satmar Chassidim. Her husband was from Vishnitz. She was diagnosed with breast cancer. She's 36 years old. She has 12 children. The oldest one is 14. The youngest one is 1 year old. 12 children, 14 to 1. And the doctors are not optimistic about her chances to live. The cancer has spread. They say she doesn't have much time. She herself is ready to give up. She lived her life. She's ready to say goodbye. She's ready to face her Maker in heaven. And she has no complaints. But she has 12 children. And that kills her, it breaks her heart. A 1-year-old boy and a 14-year-old boy. Who will raise them? Who will take care of them? She says, I don't know you and you don't know me. Aber ich betach. I'm asking you, I'm asking the Lubavitcher Rebbe, please look out and daven for my 12 children. Think about them, pray for them. They should grow up to be able to be happy people, wholesome people, healthy people. They should be inspired to have Yirah Shamayim and Avos HaTorah and Avos Hashem and Avos Yisrael. Fear of heaven, love of God, love of Torah, love of the Jewish people, and they should follow the derech ha-Torah v'ha-mitzvah. My 12 children should follow the path of Torah and mitzvahs. She signs her name. Feivel tells me she's reading the letter. He's reading the letter. She signs her name, Rachel. Reish Aleph Ches Yud Lamed Shapiro. Says, this is my mother. His mother died when he was 12. He was from the oldest in the family. His oldest brother was 14, he was 12. She left 7 boys and 5 girls. Pitzlach Kinder, Mamish Pitzlach, little ones. And now he's reading a letter in the handwriting of his mother that she wrote shortly before she passed away in the 60s. Tells me, so I'm sitting in the chair and I start crying. I start trembling. I didn't know of such a letter. I was overwhelmed from emotion. I was just weeping. I finished reading. I look at the Lubavitcher Rebbe and I say, Ich will beten ein bakosha. I have one thing to ask you. Mom is gestorben so young. My mother died so young. I don't have much of her. Ich will nehmen den Brief mit mir. I want to take this letter with me. I want to have it. A letter that my mother wrote to you about her family, her children, her concerns. I want to have this letter. So Lubavitcher Rebbe said, Nein. No, I can't give you the letter. And I was startled. I knew that he's a Jew who receives tens of thousands of letters. Did he really need to hold on to this letter of another tragedy? Like, here's an orphan. I didn't have a mother so many years. I'm just asking for her letter. Like, I couldn't understand why he would care to part from this letter and just give it to his son when he showed me the letter. And he looked at me and he said, Jede Jahr gehe ich nicht herab in Schul für Kol Nidrei. Eider ich lein de Mamas Brief. He said his language in Yiddish was, ich kann nicht herab gehen zu Kol Nidrei. Für dem, was ich lein de Mamas Brief. Every year Yom Kippur. I can't go down to Shul to daven Kol Nidrei Yom Kippur at night before I don't read your mother's letter. This this letter has to stay here. Rabbi Feivel tells me, the night after Purim, I stood up, trembling, I walked out of the room. Then he tells me, Ich ken sich nicht moichel sein. He says, Rabbi YY, Ich ken sich nicht moichel sein ad hayoim. I can't forgive myself till today. Why I didn't say Lubavitcher Rebbe? How in the world did you know who I am and that this was my mother? I came over to you after Purim, I gave you a hand. So I can't forgive myself. Why didn't I ask him? How do you know it's me? Why did you take me into a room? How do you know to put the two together? I didn't even say my name. How did you know this? So I say, why didn't you ask him? Why didn't you ask him? He said, I was so overwhelmed from emotion. When he told this to me about Kol Nidrei, the first seeing the letter, and then when he told me, I was speechless. But then when I went down, I said, oh yeah, I should have asked him. So I said to Feivel, how did he know? How did he know? And why did your mother write him a letter? So I can't tell you how he know what I say. He says, I guess, saw things maybe that other people don't see. He looked at me, saw. And then he says, what happened was as follows. He says, my father was a starke student of the Damascus Eliezer. But when he came to Antwerp, he wanted a Chassidish minyan, there was bells, he went to bells. He used to come to America a lot. He was a successful businessman. He was involved in Macy's and other things. And he used to go visit the Helike Divrei Yoel, the Satmirov, Schisse Yogan Alayni. He said, I enjoy speaking to him. Satmirov said, as a Kliga Yid, it's a smart joint. He told me he would spend hours. A few times he went to him, he spent a few hours with the Satmar Rebbe. He says, I heard from my father. This is what he told me tonight. I heard from my father that once he was sitting by the Satmar Rebbe, by the Divrei Yoel. They started to speak about Lubavitch. The Satmar Rebbe, he said, told my father these words. Aher ahin, here or there. You could look at it here or there. Let me tell you the truth. Whenever a Jew comes to me, I feel it's a situation that's too difficult for me. I can't deal with it. I don't know what to say. I send it to the Lubavitcher Rebbe. This is the emes. So my father told me when my mother got so sick, and he was by the Satmar. Satmar told this to him. So he says he went to my mother. And he said an interesting thing I heard from the Satmar of, that when he doesn't know how to deal with the situation, he sends to the Lubavitcher Rebbe. So my mother, without telling him, wrote this whole letter to the Rebbe because based on what she heard from my father. But nobody knew about it. The Rebbe showed it to me many, many years after her passing. So I said, no, tell me about the family. He says, you should know that the 12 kids grew up. It was spectacular people. Normal, fine people. Every person got married, built beautiful families. Started telling me where everybody is, their families, their children. At this point, the Chashish gehalten cup. And then I thought to myself, this is just a personal memory, and I'm not saying it's connected, I'll just tell you an experience. I grew up in the Crown Heights section of Brooklyn. Lubavitcher Rebbe didn't have children, as you know. Erev Yom Kippur is the Chaminik by Yidden, that you bless your children. So he asked all the Bachim of the yeshiva, all the students of the yeshiva to come into his room. And he would bless them like children, like a father blesses children with Birchas Koyanim. And after Birchas Koyanim, he would add words. It was very, very emotional. I was there quite a few years as a yeshiva bacher. I can tell you it was one of the most emotional experiences of my life. The Rebbe would cry, the boys would cry. He would say the whole Birchas Koyanim, it was very, it was very, very emotional. After he would finish the bracha to the true boys, he He was ready in his kittel, in his talis, everything. He would go back to his room for a few minutes, and then he would come down for Kol Nidre. As a yeshiva bach, I was always curious why he doesn't go straight down to shul. What he does between the bracha to the students, to the talmidim, and Kol Nidre. I still don't know the answer. But when Feivel told me the story, I had a flashback of me asking myself, why the Rebbe doesn't go straight? He was already coming out to the boys. Why did he just go straight down to shul? But he told them, I don't go down to shul before Kol Nidre, before I read this letter. And I thought to myself when I heard this tonight, that there's such a powerful story for each and every one of us. Why? Because every one of us in our own way has to be today a little Manig Yisrael, a little leader of the Jewish people. This was a Satmar family, a Belzer family, a Vishnitzer family. No connection to Chabad whatsoever. It wasn't part of the Rebbe's Kehillah, his Anshe